It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. From Fantha Tracks TV, this is Good Morning Tatooine!
Good morning, Tatooine. Indeed, we're back once again with your weekly recap of everything Star Wars. So let's get right into it and find out what we're talking about this week. First up, we're going to be looking at the $5,000 drink on the Disney Wish Hyperspace Lounge. Stuart Beattie, the original author of the Obi-Wan movie, is going to be talking Reva and her original fate. Obi-Wan Kenobi has been breaking viewing records in Disney Plus. We'll be talking about that. The Obi soundtrack is out. We'll be checking that out. And Regal Robot, I've got some new products out. The Rancor Corbell Magnet and Wall Decor. From Gentle Giant, we've got an Ahsoka Tano minibus to have a look at. We'll have a good rant on Celebration Europe 2023 as tickets went on sale. And we'll be looking forward to London Film and Comic Con next weekend, where Adam Christopher will be signing on the Fantha Tracks booth. So joining me this week from FanthaTracks.com, Mr. Carl Bayliss. How are you, Carl?
Hello. I'm good, Brian. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very good indeed. Lots to talk about this week. And not all of it good, I'm afraid. It's been a bit of one of those weeks in the Star Wars galaxy. And first controversial topic to talk about, this $5,000 drink that's part of the Disney Wish Hyperspace Lounge. So it's kind of made up of all these kind of high value bottles in order to justify the price. But and they're calling it the Kyber Crystal. Your initial thoughts when you heard about this?
My initial thought was it was a wind-up. I guess they're trying to make Galactic Star Cruiser seem reasonable.
Yeah, that's a good point there.
You could have 2 nights in the Galactic Star Cruiser or a Kyber Crystal drink. I think with the state of the world at the moment, with the cost of living crisis, certainly in the UK, with prices spiraling up faster than wages, something like this, again, further to me says that although they think these things will delight fans, they're going to, effectively price the majority of fans out of them. I mean,
it alienates people, doesn't it? That's the thing. It irritates and it irritates and alienates. I think they've kind of justified it by the expensive content of it, but they've also thrown in, I guess, which is some interesting extras. You get a bottle of wine from Skywalker Vineyards, a water bottle, some decor in your cabin. You get to keep the metal plate and cups it was served on. And you get a voucher to visit Skywalker Ranch, which I think some people might pay $5,000 on its own for. But it is so controversial, I think.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things that the headline is, it's a $5,000 drink. It's not really a $5,000 drink. It's a experience, like you say, with all these add-ons, free stuff. But the headline is, I mean, at Disney at while we were at Celebration, there's a few people picked up those cantonas from. I don't know if it was
the Mando store, I think it was.
Yeah, and there was a cool bag version that I think was about $20, but there was an actual plastic cantona that was, I think it was $40.
Yeah,
and admittedly that might be a little bit more, sort of involved than the $40 one you got at the parks, but yeah, with all the justification in the world, you can't really justify spending $5,000 on a drink, especially not if it's on a cruise ship.
No. We can actually take a look of it if we want to see it. This is what it looks like. So it kind of opens up, get a little bit of fake fog, then you get a drink, and if you watch it guy on the right, he just necks it. So that's his $5,000 gone. There you go.
Yeah, well, that little bit of fake fog, I went to. I can't think of the chef's name now. Famous Michelin star chef in Birmingham. He's a Brummie.
Mark Newbold.
No, not him. He would have ate it. And we had like the dry ice pudding, and basically they bring this little teapot of dry ice and pour it over the one of the desserts, and so you get the fog coming over that, and the whole meal for that was only about £85.
Yeah.
Mark, I can cook.
Dear.
So
yeah, not for me. Got so much better things to be spending $5,000 on if I had it.
Yeah. Well, if I got a spare £5,000 kicking around, I'd be I'm only $1,000 away from 2 nights at Galaxy's Edge. Not Galaxy's Edge.
First person that goes to Galaxy's Edge and then asks for the $5,000 drink. That's the guy we don't speak to.
Yeah.
Next up on the news. Let's get rid of that. We don't be watching that again. Stuart Beattie, who was one of the original writers when Obi-Wan was a movie before it was a Disney Plus show, he's been talking this past week, made quite a lot of interesting comments about the development from film to TV and his work on it. And he spoke about some of the differences in the script, and specifically about the character of Reva, and how in his original plan she didn't know Darth Vader was Anakin, and that her grudge was sort of more at Anakin himself and wider at the Jedi Council in general, viewing them as the biggest villains in the galaxy. Which kind of works a little bit better for me than people out there knowing that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. I don't know what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a sort of common criticism during the show was, how was, if she knows that Anakin is Vader, and obviously has had dealings with Vader, surely, if he's powerful enough in the Force, he'll have sussed that out, and he's not likely to be letting people wander around the galaxy knowing his former self and who that was. So it does slightly fit with how a lot of people wanted to see it. Ultimately, yeah, I think it gave that bit of sort of jeopardy in the final episode where she has sort of survived, and then she goes off and tries to kill some random child that she doesn't know that just has some connection to Bail Organa and Obi-Wan. Yeah. She doesn't actually know who Luke is. So yeah, it's one of those. I think you always get this now with the the same thing that we had with Rogue One. The original ending was this, but we tweaked it and we've changed it. Ultimately, there's multiple different, again, the Colin Trevorrow script for Rise of Skywalker and things like that. There's different treatments that come along and come and go as the project develops, and they've all got merit. It's just at the end of the day that they've chosen to go in a different direction. I'd quite like to see some sort of offshoot now. Sort of what happens to Reva next.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things, because as Stuart Beattie also said that his original plan was for Vader to kill Reva. After Reva tells Vader that she's killed Obi-Wan, and that's why the sort of hunt for Obi-Wan kind of finishes. Which I kind of think is a neater end.
Yes.
And they've kind of left lots of barn doors open for them to do something else, which I get, but it also makes it a little bit untidy and scrappy, I think.
Yeah.
But so it's an interesting interview with Stuart Beattie. He covers a lot of ground, and it's interesting to see just the evolution of a project. And as a project, it's done well, because few numbers, it's been breaking all the records on Disney Plus. This is data coming from Samba TV, which you've kind of got to hold into question a little bit, because there's no way to verify any of their numbers, and they do it on a small sample base of 3 million US viewers, which, if you think about the
size of
America, it's a very, very small sample. But they're saying that Obi-Wan drew an audience of 1.8 million US households over the 5-day period, Wednesday through Sunday, which is basically the measurement they now use for streaming. It's how many streams does it get in the first 5 days? Which is 20% higher than the Book of Boba Fett finale. And I'll beat it, although it is down on its debut, which was somewhere around about the 2.14 million mark, I think. But how did Obi-Wan fare for you? Did it keep you interested throughout the series?
Yeah, I did actually really, really enjoy it. I know there's a few people out there that have got a bit of an axe to grind with various bits of it, but I could kind of tell a little bit where they'd perhaps padded some of the story out from what would have been a film treatment, because I think if you chop all the credits and recaps off, I think you end up with somewhere in the region of about a 4-hour film. So there's a little bit of deep dive on some of the character backstory and sort of those sort of elements, which I think if you were going for a film, it would have still been a hefty film, 2.5 hours plus. But that you can tell where there are elements that you could have sort of the chase through the Imperial base and castle, Fortress Inquisitorius, and things like that. That have sharpened those up. You perhaps wouldn't have had so much of the sort of Tala story and the little bits of delay in some of that. But overall, for me, I think it's possibly my favourite of the Disney Plus shows so far.
Yeah. One thing I want to speak to you about, obviously, when you're one of the co-hosts, Desert Planet Discs on Fantha Tracks Radio, Fanthatracks.com's own podcast. So on that, you discuss basically Star Wars music and everything behind that. And obviously, this past week we've had the soundtrack for Obi-Wan come out. Lots of different takes on this. I didn't buy into the music too much during the show. I didn't feel like it really influenced me, apart from when maybe original trilogy themes kicked in. A lot of it I felt kind of passed me by, but actually listening to the soundtrack on its own gave me a completely different kind of experience for it.
Yeah, very, very, very much similar to me. Obviously the John Williams theme got debuted at Celebration, and that was a really, really nice thing that he wanted to do. But then the original scores that come in, Natalie Holt, and I think on the soundtrack album as well, is it William Ross has got?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
credits for adaptation, which I think some of that is taking things that were already there and gluing them together. But very similar to yourself. In the show, the music wasn't sort of at the forefront. It did what Star Wars soundtrack music generally does, which is bubble away in the background and help communicate the peril or whatever else is going on in a particular scene. But listening to the soundtrack since it was released earlier in the week, I'm just really, really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Again, it's people are always going to compare any Star Wars music to, the work of John Williams, and we're not saying for a minute that at the moment Natalie Holt is, of a similar level, but the music fits the show. It doesn't jar horribly with some of the stuff that, John Williams has done, including the theme for, the overall show. And I just think it's a really, really good soundtrack.
Yeah, I think it definitely stacks up so much better when you listen to it on its own. And I think I'll actually maybe enjoy going back and watching the show, seeing where the different tracks drop and like sort of listening out for them, I think, a little bit more.
Yeah. And I mean, another thing that Greg and I have discussed on the podcast many times, it's a shame with some of these soundtracks. We've had the same with Mando, Book of Boba Fett, even going back, some of the cartoons, the animated series, Rebels, and things like that. The soundtracks aren't getting physical releases.
Yeah.
Now, yes, we are in a world of streaming and everything else, but there is still a market out there for physical media. It may not be as big as it was, but I certainly still like shiny discs.
Yeah, I'm totally. I like having digital products for the ease of it, but you can't beat having something to collect, to have in your hand. I don't think you can collect digital items the same. I'm totally NFTs. Stick them.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know full well that sooner or later, was it Mondo did a really nice vinyl collection for Mando.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it was only for season. Was it season 1?
I think it was season 1 from memory.
But it was like £100 plus, with a separate disc for each episode, each chapter, and yes, if you're a vinyl collector, those sort of things are great, but there is a sort of mid ground. Again, we talk about the drink and things like that, missing the consumer base. You've got the same thing with these soundtracks. You've either got a super deluxe box set collector's edition or the download.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground for somebody that wants a physical product but doesn't want to go and spend, a small fortune on, a limited edition collector's vinyl box set that they're probably not even going to open.
Yeah,
for
totally.
fear of devaluing.
Talking of physical products, Regal Robot are back with their latest magnet and also a wall decor as well. The Corbel magnet, and it's something that I had never seen before. And they do a great deep dive into this on the Regal Robot website as to where you can actually see this within Jabba's palace. And it's kind of seen in the background up on the wall. And so you can add this to your magnet collection. I've got quite a few other magnets I've picked up. The droid restraining bolt being my personal favourite.
Can't have
And
those running around, Brian.
yeah, so you can pick up this magnet here and its wall decor equivalent, which you can see it there matched up against the Mando logos if people have collected them previously, the Bantha skulls. Love what Regal Robot do, always top end stuff, really nice quality. And I just this week got home the God, what do they even call it again? The Salacious Crumb, See No Evil kind of piece as well. I just came back from Celebration, and Matt Booker was very kind enough to pick that up for me when he was out there, so that made its way home.
Yeah, their booth at Celebration was a true wondrous experience. As you say, lots of really, really nice products. I think I'm right in saying this was these magnets were on display just as, coming soon sort of. There was a few vendors that had got things that were sort of coming to market July, August. So that really, really nice product.
Yeah. Also with the newly announced release, Gentle Giant with a Ahsoka Tano minibus, just capitalising on the excitement as Ahsoka's began filming out in California. Priced at $129.99, and it's going to be available last quarter this year in various countries across the world there, Canada, much of Europe, Japan, South Korea, Brazil, Mexico, Russia, and the US as well. Gentle Giant kind of can be quite expensive, quite a high-end stuff. This is maybe in the more affordable as a character like Ahsoka. It's going to be popular, I think.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, for two reasons. One, it's a popular character. It's sort of very much flavour of the month in terms of anticipation of the show. But at that price point, it's still not cheap, but it's more affordable than some of the pricier, larger items in their collection. But yeah, again, another company who, quality-wise, always seem to knock it out of the park. There's various of their products on display at Celebration. There's, I think I'm right in saying it's that one of theirs is the Princess Leia in the cell block on the Death Star, and that's a really nice piece. But
you mentioned Celebration a few times. Obviously, you were out there last month, or 2 months ago now, I guess. We're into July. What was your experience like? What was the highlights? What was the lows?
Well, for the full breakdown, I would encourage people to go and listen to the most recent episode of Desert Planet Discs, which I think is called Attack of the Qs. So that gives you a little bit of a flavour of what my experience was like. No, it was a great show. I'd not been to a celebration outside of the UK before, so it's only my second celebration, and it was my first US continental celebration. So a completely different experience. obviously, as well, being part of the Fantha team this time, when I went to London in 2016, obviously Fantha wasn't a thing at the time. I knew some of you guys, but didn't really know people to the same degree that they couldn't get rid of me this year. So, yeah, it was nice to sort of get together and geek out about Star Wars with sort of a lot of the UK team that we don't see from time to time, to meet for the first time a lot of the people whose names crop up in articles and reviews and things like that as contributors to the site, to actually speak to them and get to know them a little bit better. So that was really good. Highlights, really enjoyed the Dave Collins music panel. It was one of the only panels I really wanted to get to. A big fan of David Collins and his Soundtrack Show podcast, and he sort of breaks down the music in a lot more detail on those. But fingers crossed, he'll be reprising that for next year, and hoping that it'll be a Return of the Jedi music panel.
Yeah,
with it being the 40th anniversary of Jedi. So, yeah. The downside: queuing, virtually queuing whilst queuing, and at the end of the day, a big part of what a lot of people go to Celebration for is the shopping aspect, and there was plenty of stuff that you could buy, but there was an awful lot that you couldn't. Specifically, stuff that was in the official show shop, because getting into that again, there was like a lottery to get access in, or or expedited access. The Lightspeed lane sort of. But then the one time I managed to get into the shop early on, I think it was like 50-minute queue to get into the shop, and the queue for the tills was literally snaking around the entire shop. And I spoke to somebody near the barriers before you actually got into the queue, and they'd been waiting 3.5 hours to queue to pay. It's 2022, folks. Let's be a bit smarter about it.
Yeah.
There's a whole host of companies out there that do retailing and things like that for events. I'm sure you get an Amazon or somebody like that partnered to run your retail side, and you could make a lot more money.
Yeah. And we kind of all had this experience of the virtual queuing this past Thursday.
Oh, yes.
When Celebration tickets went on sale, which in itself proved somewhat controversial, I think. If you're watching the show, let us know your experience in the comments, and we'll try and discuss it, because I think everybody had a different experience. For me, I was on my phone in a 2G area. Took me 20 minutes. Every ticket was still on sale. I got what I needed, checked out, no problem. And that seemed to be a very rare experience. What was your experience, Carl?
Slightly more traumatic than that. So yeah, I'd got the virtual queue going on the phone whilst going out to a family event, but was basically getting messages from various people, and I think the closest my virtual queue got, I think, was about 30 minutes. At which point, fellow Fantha Claire Henry, hi Claire, messaged me and went, all the 4-day tickets have gone. So, okay. Damn. Right, what am I going to do? Well, I'm not going to go. I've already got my hotel booked. So, yeah, let's let's go four individual day passes, which is just shy of 330 quid instead of the
So almost like 140 quid more expensive, more or less.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Good point there from Andrew. No information on the tickets for people with disabilities or their carers.
Yeah.
There's not an awful lot of information about tickets for a lot of people. I think one of the big concerns or question marks, and one of the things that will have contributed to the number of people trying to get tickets is they've announced that they're doing away with media passes. I mean, they clamped down on them quite heavily for Anaheim. So I think there was only one media pass allowed per media outlet. And they've said that sort of content creators will be part of this new move to the HoloNet News stages, where it's going to be podcasts, YouTubers, whatever else. They want to lump into this, sort of thing. But then they haven't sort of said to. They've sort of said, yes, we'll have a replacement and you'll be able to apply for these, but that process hasn't started. That process probably won't start for a few months yet. So, people like us who are, yes, we wouldn't have ordinarily all gone on media passes anyway, but, that would have taken some of the demand away.
Yeah, because we're all scrambling to buy tickets, which means that your fans out there are then fighting alongside the content creators to get the same tickets. So you're taking tickets away from your effective readers and listeners, which is not what you want to be doing either.
No, and as I say, ultimately, it smacks of they wanted to get the tickets out and on sale, but a lot of these other plans, again, there's been no provision for or no sort of explanation of what's going to happen about fan booths or things like that. So all the people that have potentially would apply for those are none the wiser, as to whether they'd be able to get in or what the setup's going to be for them. So they're going to have been applying as well. Been reading a lot online. People have bought tickets and don't even know if they're actually going to be going.
Yeah. Well, Elliot mentions that he lives in London, so he doesn't need the hotel experience that gives him more money for spending at the show. And then there's people on the opposite side of that who have got the hotel booked, the flights booked, don't have a ticket.
Yeah.
So, it gets very complicated. I don't think it's rocket science to have all the information out there on the day your tickets go on sale. You can completely control what day you put it on sale. You've done loads of shows in the past, so you've got existing policies and you just need to tweak and amend. So in terms of carers, in terms of people with disabilities and their special needs, in terms of fan tables, media passes, exhibitors, all that kind of information can all be out there and published at the time that tickets go on sale if you want it to be out there.
Yeah. And, again, yes, there's a demand. People wanted to know, when the tickets were going on sale, when are the tickets going on sale. But, wait till you've got more of the information available. At least, do you need to put the tickets on sale this early?
Yeah.
They're still going to sell.
Yeah, we can have a look at what they've said about the HoloNet stages
Yeah.
So basically, they're saying that Star Wars podcasters, fan sites, media outlets from across the galaxy to join us at the show and bring their unique program to a live audience. We're excited to expand upon what's once a featured space just for podcasts to now include a wider range and higher volume of Star Wars media, giving them the opportunity to share their content with more fans in a forum that is rare and special, live and in person with Star Wars fans around the world, which kind of makes sense. If you want to take the podcast stage, expand it to video creators and just pure bloggers. Everyone's got a voice, everyone can share it on the stage. But they do say stages, which makes you wonder, is there more than one? Are they trying to create like a fan area? What's the purpose? You kind of need a little bit more information as to what's happening there.
Yeah. And as I say, there's so many great content creators out there, that, yes, giving everybody the opportunity and the platform to do what they do and bring that to Star Wars fans, is a great thing. But, all we're saying is have some of those plans, available to sort of publish and tell people what they can expect.
Yeah, and Reed Pop are running shows at Excel multiple times a year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like it's an unfamiliar company and in an unfamiliar location. As you say, Reed run MCM London out of the Excel Centre, so they know the centre, they know about running events.
Yeah, and I think that's a positive aspect we can take away. That we've got quite a few months until the event. There's time for them to add clarity to it. There's probably no need to panic about tickets just yet, because you will get an official secondary market to pick them up. And if you look at, for example, what happened in Anaheim, 4-day tickets in the secondary market were going for cheaper than they were face value for a large chunk of the period as well. So you could end up getting a bargain. So if you're wanting to make Star Wars Celebration, don't discount it yet. And Reed Pop should know what they're doing, and especially at that centre, so they've got time to get the policies in place, get the information out there, and put on a good show, I think.
Yeah, as Mark says there, just wish we knew a bit more about it. We're not saying any of this is a bad thing. It's just, what is it going to look like, and could that have helped alleviate some of the, some mad rush and mad panic for tickets? But again, this isn't a thing peculiar to Celebration. Over the weekend, I've had an email saying that tickets go on sale for MCM Birmingham in a couple of days.
Is that November?
November time. So again, you've got tickets going on sale now for an event in November.
Yeah, I think the disappointing aspect for most people was the short notice.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of money for people to put together. A lot of people were caught with their pants down because they listed the price before. They were listed the price before service charge and VAT, which isn't correct in the UK. You've got to list it with the sales tax, with any mandatory service charges as part of the price by law. That was kind of wrong. Checkout as well, I didn't like, because you got a 7-minute timer to complete the sale, and in that time you were supposed to read all the terms and conditions as well. Shouldn't have to read that against a clock. So I had a few grumbles about the whole process as well. Needs to be done better, but it's a learning curve, and they can learn from that, I think.
Yeah, and as we've said, none of this is really a massive dig. We as much as anybody want the show to be a success and things to run smoothly. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
At least I know I should be getting in.
Yeah, and as Andrew says, he wants to know the price of a ticket and not have to work out VAT and service charges, which is very much true for, I think, everyone in the UK. Nothing
Yeah,
gets listed for sale here without your sales tax included, which I know is the exact opposite of America.
yeah,
But it is the law in this country that you've got to let your consumers know the final price they're going to be paying. So that is a big criticism. An event that will run smoothly next week, London Film and Comic Con. Showmasters is back. Our good friend Dave Trees running the Star Wars Zone, and Fantha Tracks will have a table there. And we're very proud to say that on our table will be Star Wars Shadow of the Sith author Adam Christopher, and he'll be doing some signings. Be warned, very little, limited numbers. So there'll be no virtual queue. There'll be no queue going out the door. You won't have to wait for hours, because if you're not there nice and early to get your book signed, there's not going to be one for you. Be warned, ultra limited. And on top of that, Adam will also be joining Making Tracks live on the cosplay stage on Saturday, 5 to 5:30, alongside Mr. Newbold and Mr. Melcaster for a special episode of Making Tracks Live. Again, if you don't know Making Tracks, it is one of our Fantha Tracks radio podcasts. Head to your podcast of choice, type in Fantha Tracks Radio, you'll find that, alongside Desert Planet Discs. Carl, are you going to make it along to London Film and Comic Con this year?
Sadly, I'm not. For those 3 days, I shall be actually making my way on a coach with the Junior GB Dog Agility team, of which my daughter is a member, and we're driving to Finland.
Finland. Excellent.
Yes.
That's
So,
a journey. That's a journey.
That's a journey and a half, yes. 3 days travel, a week at the show, and then 3 days travel back. But I do have Shadow of the Sith, the audiobook, to listen to on the way. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But I am gutted that I will be missing LFCC. We did the Star Wars Zone there a few years ago. Helped out and did some stuff on the little stage that we had going there, a couple of interviews and things like that. So I know, having spoken to him at Celebration, and I think Mark interviewed him at MCM Birmingham last year. He was really keen to sort of talk about Shadows of the Sith, but obviously bound by NDAs and things like that until it actually came out. So be a really, really good experience to hear him actually talk about it. And I went to one of the publishing panels at Celebration where he was talking a little bit more about the book. So, you know, what he got to do in the book, he actually names Rey's parents. So he got to name them, and I'm not going to steal any more of his thunder, because I'm sure he will possibly give you the story behind where those names came from at LFCC. But there's really, really cool stories behind where those names came from. He's a lovely, lovely guy. Really, really interesting. He's worked on loads of stuff, not just Star Wars. Lots of sort of tie-ins. I know he's worked on sort of game tie-ins and done Doctor Who stuff as well. So,
this is your great chance, because he's going to be on the Fantha Tracks booth. As Mr. Newbold says there, you can come along, chat with him. If you've got the book already, take a book along. He'll sign that.
Yeah.
The signings that he's doing, he's got copies of the book. He's got copies of his Stranger Things novel as well. He's signing, and money's going to charity as well. So don't miss out on that. And it's going to be, or it is at present, his only UK signing this year. He was going to be at Forbidden Planet signing along with Cavan Scott, but with all the train strikes in the UK, that was cancelled to avoid any sort of travel chaos for people. So at the moment, It's his only UK signing, so it's a rare chance to get your novel signed by him. And of course, ask him the questions, the burning questions about Stranger Things, about Star Wars, about all his other writing as well. And as Mark says, 200 book plates, only £2 each, money going to Angleman. Bargain. So you can get your book plate signed and put that into the novel that you already own as well.
Cool.
And Mr. Melcaster also there, the audiobook is awesome. And he's loving learning a little bit more about what you have Bestoon.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I say I'm really looking forward to it. I've been cataloguing up because, much to my my shame, I've not actually read the Kenobi book by John Jackson Miller.
Okay.
And so I've got that to take with me as well. And the books 2 and 3 from the Thrawn Ascendancy. So nobody's going to have to sort of talk to me on the coach. It's great.
Yeah, it's going to be a long Star Wars 3-day trip. How many countries do you have to pass through to get to Finland? That'll be 5 or 6.
Yeah. So we start off. We go Channel Tunnel, Calais, so France.
Yeah, foot down through France.
Up through Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Finland.
Yeah. Mr. Newbold pointing out there that very good chance that this book is going to be a New York Times bestseller as well by the time LFC comes round. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday if you're in London.
Yeah, also the cosplay stage will be featuring appearances by my podcasting cohort, Greg, aka Darth Elvis. So he's doing a couple of performances, I believe, on the cosplay stage. Think I'm right in saying it's 6 p.m. on the Saturday and 4 p.m. on the Sunday.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with the charity Angelman, a charity that Gareth Edwards, the director of Rogue One, supports and whose sister runs it as well. So very, very good charity that the whole Star Wars zone is supporting and doing various little things to raise money for this coming weekend. So well done to everybody that's going to be there for the hard work going into that.
Yeah. Carl,
thank you once again for joining me. And just a reminder, Mr. Newbold, with lots of reminders today. It's very helpful. Darth Velvis is going to be on the cosplay stage as well. Yeah. And Mr. Newbold will also be interviewing Jez Allenson, who is the
running stormtrooper.
The running stormtrooper, yeah. So lots more. Anything else, Mark, you want to let us know before we go? Because the clock's ticking down. We've got 5 minutes. Come on, Mark. More news. What else should we be doing? What's coming up this week in Fantha Tracks Radio? You've got another episode you mentioned of Desert Planet Disc coming up shortly. What's coming up on that?
Yeah, so the last episode we covered sort of our celebration experience. The next episode, which we'll be recording and I think comes out the end of this month, will be Greg's experience in Batuu.
Oh, excellent.
So, yes, the bins of Batuu. If you don't know what we're on about, check out Fantha Tracks Instagram and look for the bins of Batuu. It's a long-running series. Making Tracks episode 143 on Tuesday. There we go, Mr. Newbold.
Yeah. And then you can see them all live, heckle them as much as you want at LFCC. See if you can put them off.
Yeah, all those listeners' questions you've always wanted to ask.
And there's a tease as well. There's going to be a new podcast launching on Fantha Tracks Radio within the next 2 weeks. Yeah.
Ooh.
Look out for that. Anyway, Carl, I'll try again. Thank you once again for joining me this week on Good Morning Tatooine. Always good to speak to you about Star Wars. I'll be back next Sunday, and we'll maybe have some news out of LFCC, which will be going on at the time as well. So I'll look forward to that. And good night, everybody. Thank you for your contributions and comments. It's always good to hear what you guys are thinking.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Take care. May the force be with you.
And end show.
Keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news each and every day on FanthaTracks.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and Pinterest at Fantha Tracks. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow Fantha Tracks TV to be alerted to new content and to be a part of our live shows.